James, a servant of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ, to the 12 tribes scattered among the nations. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. James 1:1-4.
Today, we're going to dig into the ancient book of James to uncover a pretty radical perspective on life's challenges, one that frames hardship not as something to run from, but as the very furnace that creates a resilient faith.
So, this is our starting point, James chapter 1, the first 4 verses. And look, these aren't just some nice, ancient words on a page. They're really an invitation to a completely different way of thinking about our struggles. They challenge us right out of the gate. So, let's break down what's actually being said here.
All right, so first things first, who is this guy making this, honestly, this audacious claim about finding joy in pain? Well, the way James introduces himself is the key. It's not just a formality. It's a powerful statement about where his authority comes from. And spoiler alert, it's not from power but from service.
He calls himself a doulos, a servant, or even a slave. Now, in his culture, this wasn't a sign of weakness at all. It was a badge of honor. It connected him to these towering figures of faith like Moses and David. It meant he was all in, completely devoted. And notice who he serves, God and of the Lord Jesus Christ. Trust me, that phrasing is no accident. By calling Jesus Lord and putting him right there on the same level as God, James is making a massive statement right up front. Jesus is divine.
Okay, so we've got the author. Now, who was he writing to? The letter is addressed to the 12 tribes scattered among the nations. And again, this isn't just a mailing address. It's a really profound statement about who these people are.
Most scholars believe this phrase, the 12 tribes, is what's called an eschatological title. Basically, it's a name that points to God's ultimate plan. James is framing the entire early Christian church as the true, renewed Israel, the fulfillment of everything God had been promising for centuries.
And get this, they are in the diaspora. They're scattered. This word just perfectly captures their situation. They were likely fleeing persecution, living as what you might call aliens and exiles. And understanding this context of real, tangible hardship is absolutely crucial, because it's into this exact suffering that James speaks his wild command to find joy.
And this is where the letter gets really challenging. He's about to issue a command that seems to fly in the face of, well, all human experience. This is the absolute heart of his message.
Consider it pure joy whenever you face trials. Just pause on that for a second. This is so radical it's almost shocking. How on earth could facing poverty or persecution or loss possibly be a joyful experience? But notice, the text doesn't say feel joyful. It says to consider it joy, to make a conscious choice to reframe the entire experience through the lens of a divine purpose.
So what exactly are these trials? The Greek word here is pyrosmoi, and it refers specifically to external pressures. These are the difficult circumstances that happen to us, the things outside of our control that really put our faith to the test.
But here's a really critical distinction that James makes just a few verses later. He uses the same Greek root word, but for something totally different: internal temptation. James makes it absolutely clear. God tests us with external trials to help us mature, but he never, ever tempts us with internal evil. That, he says, comes from our own desires. It's a huge difference.
So, if we're commanded to reframe these trials as joy, and if God is using them for our good, then what's the point? Where is all of this supposed to be heading? Well, the text lays out a really clear, step-by-step process of spiritual formation.
Okay, so here's the pathway James lays out. Step 1, you face trials. You can't avoid them. Step 2, that process tests your faith, proving if it's the real deal. Step 3, as you hold on, that testing produces perseverance. But here's the final, crucial step. You have to let perseverance finish its work. It's not enough just to endure. You have to let the process complete itself. And the result? You become mature and complete. All of a sudden, hardship isn't random anymore. It's a divine tool for your growth.
The key ingredient here is this Greek word hypomone, or perseverance. And this isn't about just gritting your teeth and passively waiting for the storm to pass. It's an active, resilient, steadfast endurance under pressure. It's the evidence of a faith that is alive and working.
This whole process, the testing, the perseverance, it brings us to the central metaphor of this passage, and it's a powerful one: faith forged in fire. If our faith is like a precious metal, then trials are the furnace that purifies it.
You know, this is a profoundly countercultural idea. Think about it. Our world screams at us to pursue comfort and escape hardship at all costs. But James presents a totally different path. He tells us to see hardship as the very thing that refines our character, that burns away the impurities, and proves that our faith is genuine gold.
So why on earth can we trust such a painful process? Well, the answer is found in the character of God himself. James reminds his readers a little later that God is the giver of only good gifts. He is unchanging, a constant lighthouse in the storm. This is the same God who is the source of our new spiritual life. And because of that, we can trust that this good God is using even hard things for our ultimate good.
And what is that ultimate good? Well, it's not necessarily an easier life right now. The promise for those who persevere, who stand the test, is the crown of life. This is the eternal reward. This is the future hope that fuels our endurance through the fires we face today.
So the challenge from this ancient text echoes right down to us today. It asks us to radically reframe our suffering. So let me just leave you with this question. How might your perspective change if you started seeing life's trials not as interruptions to be escaped, but as opportunities for growth, meant to be embraced?